Let me ask you something. Have you ever hit a big goal and still felt a little empty afterwards? Or maybe you've been chasing success, trying to tick all the boxes, career, money, recognition, but somehow it still doesn't feel like it's enough. If you answered yes, you're not alone. Most of us are searching for more meaning, more purpose, more fulfillment in our lives. But here's the thing. What if we've been looking in the wrong places? What if the real secret to fulfillment isn't more success or more money or even more happiness? What if the very thing we keep chasing is actually the thing that's keeping us stuck? Let's talk about that. If you're new here, hi, I'm Elizabeth. Welcome. I'm a former United Nations Senior Advisor, a leading humanitarian, and the author of Human Skills. In today's video, I want to talk to you about something that can feel a little elusive: modern fulfillment, what it really means, and why so many of us are looking for it in all the wrong places. For a very long time, I chased fulfillment through achievement. I thought to myself, if only I just worked harder, got the next big title, and more recognition, then I'll finally feel it. You know, that deep, lasting sense of satisfaction. And the truth is, that mindset actually didn't align with how I was raised. Because back home in Africa, fulfillment was about community. It was about connection and purpose. But living and working in places like New York and London, I felt this pressure. I felt like I had something to prove, that the more success would equal to more recognition, which would equal to more fulfillment. Don't get me wrong. I'm so grateful for what I've been able to accomplish, especially the impact that I've made through my humanitarian work. But if I'm being honest with you, even with all those wins, there was still this feeling like something was missing. And maybe that resonates with you too. Now, the truth about fulfillment that I've come to now understand is that real fulfillment isn't about what you achieve. It's about how you live. And I'm going to repeat that again. Real fulfillment isn't about what you achieve. It's about how you live. And here's that twist. Most of us are taught to chase milestones, the dream job, the perfect partner, the big house, the next big thing. But the problem is that that feeling doesn't last. I call it the achievement hangover. You know, you hit the goal, you celebrate, and then immediately you're asking yourself, what's next? It's kind of a dopamine hit, to be honest, not that lasting fulfillment. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is something deeper. It can't be bought, it can't be faked, and it doesn't magically appear after the big promotion. Fulfillment has to be created intentionally. So, let's talk about it. What creates true fulfillment? It's alignment. Alignment between what you value, how you live, and how you show up in your relationships. That's where the real magic happens. I've seen this all over the world, from small villages in Africa to big cities in Asia and Latin America. People with fewer material resources often feel more fulfilled. Why? Because they have strong community bonds and emotional support. They feel connected. They feel supported. In fact, global research across 132 countries, which I cite in my book, Human Skills, showed that people in developing nations often report higher fulfillment than those in wealthier countries like the US. This goes to show that connection, not accumulation, is the real source of fulfillment and meaning in our lives. So, if you've ever found yourself asking, why don't I feel fulfilled even though I'm doing everything right? Know that you are not broken. You are just might be searching for fulfillment in all the wrong places, in the places that the world told you to. But the good news is this: you can shift. You can realign. Fulfillment is about the everyday moments, the small decisions we take, the real connections we form, the life you choose to live in a way that honors who you truly are. And that's what we're exploring here today. So today I want to share with you 3 very simple things that can help you have greater fulfillment in your life. Let's start with the first key to lasting fulfillment: self-awareness, which is a core human skill. And in simple language, the importance of knowing yourself. I know it sounds obvious, but most of us are so busy keeping up with expectation that we don't slow down to really check in with ourselves. What do you actually care about? What brings you joy? What are your values? Not the ones your job or your social media says you should have. Self-awareness is one of the most underrated human skills, and yet is the foundation for everything else. Because when you truly think about it, when you know yourself, your dreams, your strength, your challenges, your values, you stop making decisions out of pressure and start making them with purpose. You stop chasing someone else's version of success and instead you pursue your own. Think of it this way. You can't build a fulfilling life if you don't know who you're building it for. So before anything else, take the time to reconnect with yourself. That's where fulfillment really begins. 2, live with intentionality. Let's be real for a second. How often do you pause and ask yourself, is how I'm living actually aligned with what I care about and my values? It's easy to get caught up in the rush of everyday life, the deadlines, the notification, the to-do list. But if we're not careful, we end up just living on autopilot, just going through the motions without really checking in with ourselves. Living with intentionality means making choices that reflect your values on purpose, not just by default. So here are a few questions I like to ask myself, and maybe they'll help you too. Do my daily habits reflect my values? Am I giving time to people who nourish me? Can I say no without guilt when something doesn't feel right? I know even though saying no can be difficult for most of us, you should know that saying no kindly and confidently makes your yeses more powerful and more meaningful. In my book, Human Skills, I show you how to do just that. Also, don't forget that living with intentionality means celebrating not only the big milestones in your life, but also the small ones in between. That email you finally sent, that tough conversation you finally had, the midday walk you took instead of overworking. These may sound like small little things, but trust me, it all counts. Those small, intentional choices, they all add up. That's what living with intentionality looks like. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present and making space for what truly matters. And finally, make meaningful human connections. Here's the thing. We are currently experiencing an epidemic of loneliness, which the World Health Organization has declared a global health issue with significant consequences for our well-being. When was the last time you fully felt connected to someone? You know, the moment you felt seen, heard, and understood. We all crave human connection and belonging because it's literally wired into who we are. We are social creatures. And contrary to what society might have told you, real fulfillment doesn't come from individual success alone. It comes from belonging, from being part of something bigger than ourselves. In my African culture, there's a beautiful philosophy that speaks to this directly. It's called Ubuntu, which translates to I am because we are. Ubuntu is the understanding that our humanity is deeply tied to one another, that we are all connected no matter where we come from, what we believe, or how we live. And when we live with that mindset, that sense of shared humanity, something shifts. Life becomes more meaningful, more compassion, more real. So what does this look like in everyday life? It's reaching out to a friend just because. It's taking the time to really listen when someone opens up. It's being part of a community, whether that's your family, your neighborhood, your workplace, or even online space like this one. Fulfillment grows when we invest in relationships, when we show up for each other, and when we allow ourselves to be seen too. Because at the end of the day, no amount of success means much if we don't have people to share it with. So if you're feeling a little disconnected right now, you're not alone, and it's never too late to reach out, reconnect, and rebuild those bonds that makes us truly feel connected. So here's the thing. Finding fulfillment doesn't mean turning your whole world upside down. It's about small intentional shifts every single day. Here are 3 things that have worked for me. Ask yourself each night, did I live today in alignment with what truly matters to me? Number 2, have one intentional distraction-free conversation per week. Just be present with someone. No phones, no distractions, just your presence. And then lastly, once a month, audit your calendar. Does it reflect your values or just your obligations, and adjust accordingly? Finally, I want you to know that, of course, you can keep dreaming big. Of course, you can still keep being ambitious and chasing after your goals. But remember, you don't have to chase fulfillment. It's something you build, one choice at a time. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What does fulfillment look like in your life? Where do you feel most aligned or out of alignment? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. And if this video gave you something to think about, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little reminder today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.